Captain Tae-ho Kim stood at the large window of Earth Defense Force headquarters. His eyes were fixed on the night sky. The stars looked the same as always, but everything had changed. A new light hung among them now. It was not a star, but a massive alien ship. "Captain, they're sending another message," said Lieutenant June at the communications station. Tae-ho turned away from the window. The command center buzzed with activity. Screens flashed with data. People spoke in hushed, tense voices. The world had been in chaos since the alien ship appeared 3 days ago. "Put it on the main screen," Tae-ho ordered. The large display lit up. The face that appeared was not human. It had gray-blue skin and 6 blinking eyes arranged in a circle. 2 small antennae twitched on top of its head. "I am Grand Marshal Veloth of the Galactic Confederation," the alien said. Its mouth moved strangely with the words. "We demand a meeting with Earth's military leaders. You will present yourselves and your defensive capabilities within 24 hours. The screen went dark. General Min, the highest-ranking officer present, stepped forward. "We have no choice. We must comply." "With respect, sir," Tae-ho said. "Showing them our weapons might not be wise." "Do you suggest we refuse?" General Min asked. Tae-ho looked around the room. Fear was clear on every face. "No, sir. But we should be careful about what we reveal." "These aliens crossed the stars to reach us," the general replied. "They already know more about us than we know about ourselves." The meeting place was a wide field outside the city. The military had set up displays of Earth's most advanced weapons. Tanks, fighter jets, missile launchers, and infantry equipment were arranged in neat rows. Commander Ji-won Park supervised the preparations. She had designed many of these weapons herself. After years at the Defense Technology Institute, she knew Earth's military capabilities better than almost anyone. "The helicopters are ready," a soldier reported to her. "The aliens will be here in 10 minutes. Ji-won nodded. "Is Captain Kim here yet?" "He just arrived with General Min and the other officials." Ji-won saw Tae-ho walking toward her. His face was serious. "How are you feeling about this?" he asked when he reached her. "Nervous," Ji-won admitted. "I've spent my life making weapons to protect us from each other. I never thought I'd have to show them to beings from another world." A low humming sound filled the air. Everyone looked up. A small alien ship descended from the clouds. It was smooth and silver, with no visible engines. It landed silently on the grass. A door appeared in its side. 5 aliens walked out. They were tall and thin with the same gray-blue skin as the one they had seen on the screen. They wore what looked like armor, though it seemed too light and flexible to provide. Real protection. Grand Marshal Veloth led the group. Up close, he was even more alien. His 6 eyes moved independently, scanning everything at once. When he walked, his legs bent in strange ways. General Min stepped forward. "Welcome to Earth. I am General Min of the Earth Defense Force. We have prepared a demonstration of our military technology as requested." Veloth's mouth parts clicked together. "Very well. Show us what you call weapons." The humans led the aliens through the display. General Min explained each item with pride. He described the range of the missiles, the speed of the jets, and the power of the tanks. The aliens did not seem impressed. They touched the equipment with their 3-fingered hands. They spoke to each other in their own language, making sounds, like insects. When they reached the section with personal weapons, Ji-won stepped forward. "This is our standard infantry rifle," she explained. "It fires high-velocity rounds that can penetrate armor at a range of—" The alien named Veloth picked up the rifle. He examined it for a moment, then made a sound that might have been laughter. "You propel metal pieces with chemical explosions?" he asked. "How primitive." Ji-won felt her face grow hot. "It's highly effective for our purposes. Perhaps against each other," another alien said, "but not against a civilized species." Veloth handed the rifle to one of his companions. "Show them." The alien pointed the rifle at a target dummy 100 meters away. He fired 3 shots. The bullets hit the target, but seemed to slow down just before impact, barely penetrating the surface. Personal shield technology, Veloth explained. Standard equipment for all Confederation citizens, even children. Ji-Wan glanced at Tai-Ho. His face remained calm, but she could see tension in his jaw. The tour continued. The aliens examined the tanks with the same dismissive attitude. When shown the fighter jets, they laughed openly. You travel through your atmosphere in these? Veloth asked. They are so fragile. They serve our needs, General Min said stiffly. At the end of the tour, Veloth turned to address the human officials. All 6 of his eyes focused on them. The Galactic Confederation has been observing Earth for some time, he said. We have decided to offer you protection. Protection from what? Tai-Ho asked. From the dangers of space, Veloth replied. There are many species less friendly than ours. In exchange for our protection, we require only reasonable access to your planet's resources and a modest contribution of human workers. The human officials looked at each other uneasily. This is not a request, Veloth continued. It is a statement of fact. The Confederation's ships will begin landing tomorrow. Resistance would be... He glanced at the weapons on display. Pointless. After the aliens left, an emergency meeting was called. World leaders joined by video. The room was filled with angry voices. They're not offering protection. They're announcing an invasion, the European Union representative shouted. But what can we do? Asked another. You saw how they treated our weapons like toys. Tai-Ho stood up. The room quieted. We need time, he said. Time to learn about them, to find weaknesses. What weaknesses? General Min asked. They crossed the stars to get here. Their technology is centuries beyond ours. Technology isn't everything, Ji-Wan said, supporting Tai-Ho. History is full of advanced civilizations defeated by supposedly primitive ones. So we just surrender? Someone asked. No, Tai-Ho replied. We cooperate for now. We learn everything we can about them, and we prepare. The meeting ended with a reluctant agreement to accept the aliens' terms, while secretly preparing for resistance. They left the room. Ji-Wan caught up with Tai-Ho in the hallway. They really don't understand us, do they? She asked quietly. No, Tai-Ho said. They see our technology and think they know what we're capable of. But there's more to humans than our weapons. What do we do now? Tai-Ho looked at her. We do what humans have always done when faced with a superior force. We adapt. We find new ways to fight. Outside, the alien mothership hung in the sky like a new moon. Tomorrow, more would come. The invasion would begin. But the aliens had made a mistake. They had judged Earth by its weapons, not by the ingenuity of its people. They had mocked what they saw as primitive technology. They didn't understand that sometimes the oldest solutions were still effective if used in new ways, and that would be their downfall. 3 months had passed since the aliens came to Earth. The Vora, as humans now knew them, had kept their word. Thousands of their ships had landed across the planet. They built bases in every major country. They took what they wanted and gave. Little in return. Tai-Ho Kim walked through the streets of Seoul with his head down. He wore simple clothes to blend in with the crowd. 2 Vora soldiers stood at the corner, watching the humans pass. Their armor gleamed in the morning light. Tai-Ho stopped at a small shop and bought a newspaper. The front page showed pictures of new Vora mining operations. The aliens were taking metals, water, and other resources. They called it a fair exchange for their protection. No one believed that anymore. He continued walking until he reached an old apartment building. After checking to make sure no one was watching, he entered and went to the basement. He knocked on a door in a special pattern. 3 quick taps, pause, 2 taps. The door opened. Ji-Wan Park stood inside. You're late, she said. I had to take a different route. More patrols today. Ji-Wan nodded and let him in. The basement had been converted into a hidden laboratory. Tables were covered with computers, tools, and strange devices. Some were human technology. Others were Vora equipment that had been stolen or salvaged. Several people worked at the tables. Tai-Ho recognized most of them. Former military, scientists, engineers, all now part of the resistance. In the center of the room stood Haben Lee, She had been a leading weapons scientist before the invasion. Now she was the Resistance's greatest hope. "Captain Kim," she greeted him. "Good timing. We were about to test our new prototype." She led Taeho to a table where several ordinary-looking guns were laid out. "They look like standard pistols," Taeho observed. "That's the point," Haben replied. "On the outside, yes, but inside they're very different." She picked up one of the guns and handed it to him. It felt heavier than a normal pistol. "What's special about it?" he asked. "The ammunition." Haben held up a bullet. It looked like any other bullet, but with a strange dull sheen. "Pure iron. No copper jacket, no lead core, just iron." Taeho looked confused. "Iron? Why?" Ji-won joined them. "We've been studying Vora biology. From blood samples we've collected and tests we've run, they have no natural defense against iron. Their planet has very little iron in its crust," Haben explained. "They never evolved to process it or defend against it. To them it's toxic." Taeho examined the bullet with new interest. "And their shields?" "That's the clever part," Haben said, with a small smile. "Their shields are calibrated to stop high-energy weapons. Lasers, plasma, fast-moving projectiles. They expect advanced weapons. So these are deliberately slow," Ji-won finished. "The bullets travel just under the threshold that would trigger their shields. Slow enough to pass through, but fast enough to do damage." "Simple physics," Haben added. "Sometimes the old ways are still effective." Taeho looked around the room. "Have you tested these?" A heavy silence fell. Ji-won and Haben exchanged glances. "Yes," Haben finally said. "On a Vora scout we captured last week." "It worked," Ji-won said quietly. "The iron entered his bloodstream and it wasn't pretty. Their bodies can't process it. It poisoned him within minutes." Taeho set the gun down carefully. "How many of these can you make?" "We have 20 now. We can make maybe 100 more with the materials we have, but we need to be careful. If the Vora realize what we're doing, they'll change their shields," Taeho finished. "We need to make every shot count." Later that day, Taeho attended a meeting with General Sun Woo Choi. The meeting took place in an abandoned subway tunnel. 20 resistance leaders from across the country had gathered to hear about the new weapons. Sun Woo was skeptical. "Iron. Bullets? That's your big plan?" "It's not just the bullets," Taeho explained. "It's what they represent. A weakness we can exploit. The Vora think they've seen all our weapons. They think they know what we're capable of." "They're wrong," Ji-won added. "They've cataloged our official military hardware, but they don't understand human ingenuity." Sun Woo paced the small room. "Even if these weapons work, what's the larger strategy? We can't fight a conventional war against them." "You're right," Taeho agreed. "We fight asymmetrically. Hit and run. Target their communication relays, power, systems, supply lines. Make Earth too costly to occupy." "And these iron weapons are just the beginning," Ji-won said. "Haben is working on other ideas. Things the Vora would never expect from primitive humans." The resistance leaders discussed the plan for hours. Some were excited, others doubtful. But in the end, they all agreed. It was time to fight back. Next day, Taeho stood on a rooftop overlooking a Vora supply depot. Through binoculars, he watched aliens loading materials onto hovering transports. 4 guards patrolled the perimeter. Ji-won crouched beside him. "Are you ready?" He nodded. "The team is in position." She handed him one of Haben's special pistols. "Remember, aim for exposed skin if possible, joints in the armor if not." Taeho checked the weapon one last time. "What if this doesn't work? What if they've already adapted?" "Then we adapt too," Ji-won said simply. "That's what humans do best." She raised her radio. "All teams prepare to move on my mark." Across the city, similar scenes played out. Small resistance teams targeted Vora installations. The first coordinated strike against the alien occupiers was about to begin. In his command ship orbiting Earth, Grand Marshal Veloth received a status report. Everything was proceeding as planned. The humans were compliant. Resource extraction was on schedule. Minor resistance had been reported, but nothing significant. These humans were so predictable. Their weapons, their tactics, their very thinking, all so limited. The Confederation had encountered thousands of species across the galaxy. None had surprised them in millennia. A blinking light on his console indicated an incoming message from the surface. He activated it. "Grand Marshal," a subordinate's voice came through. "We've lost contact with Outpost 7. Veloth frowned. "Communications malfunction. Send a repair team." "Sir, we've also lost contact with Outposts 3, 12, and 15, all within the last few minutes." For the first time, Veloth felt something like concern. "Put all forces on alert. Something is happening." On the surface, Teho's team moved through the supply depot. 3 Vora already lay dead, their bodies turning a strange purple color where the iron had entered their systems. The remaining guard had barricaded himself inside a control room. "We need to move quickly," Teho said. "Plant the explosives and let's go." As his team set charges on the depot's power core, he looked up at the sky. The massive Vora mothership hung there, impossibly large. Today's strike would be like a mosquito bite to them, but it was a start. And more importantly, it would show the Vora something they didn't expect. Humans who weren't afraid anymore. Humans who had found a way to fight back. The moment when the aliens could mock human weapons with impunity had passed. Grand Marshal Veloth paced the command deck of his ship. The large view screen showed a map of Earth with red dots marking Vora outposts. Too many of those dots were now blinking, a sign of lost communication. "How many attacks in the last week?" he demanded. His second-in-command Sub-Marshal Tarek consulted a data pad. 37 confirmed attacks. 22 outposts destroyed. 93 Vora dead. Veloth slammed his 3-fingered hand on a console. "How is this happening? Their weapons were examined and deemed harmless." "We don't know, Grand Marshal," Tarek admitted. "The few survivors report the humans are using some kind of new weapon, something our shields don't stop." "Impossible. Their technology is primitive." "Yes, but they seem to be using that primitiveness to their advantage somehow." Veloth's 6 eyes narrowed. "Prepare a demonstration. Select a human city, a small one. It's time to remind these creatures who they're dealing with." In the hidden laboratory beneath Sol, Hybin worked tirelessly. Around her, other scientists examined pieces of Vora technology. They had collected quite a lot in the past 2 weeks since the resistance attacks began. Tai Ho entered, followed by Jiwan and Sunwoo. They looked tired but determined. "The iron weapons are working better than we hoped," Sunwoo reported. "The Vora still haven't figured out what we're doing." "But they will," Teho warned. "We need more options." Haben nodded. "I'm working on something new. Come see." She led them to a table where a strange device sat. It looked like a small metal box with wires coming out of it. "What is it?" Jiwan asked. "An EMP device," Haben explained. "Electromagnetic pulse. It creates a burst of energy that disables electronics. We've had EMP weapons for decades," Sunwoo said. "The Vora shields would stop them." Haben smiled. "Not this one. The Vora use quantum electronics. They're actually more vulnerable to certain electromagnetic frequencies than our old technology. This device produces a specific pulse their shields aren't designed to block." Teho picked up the device carefully. "How powerful is it?" "Enough to disable a Vora ship's systems for about 3 minutes. Not long, but enough time to do damage or escape." "How many can you make?" Sunwoo asked. "With the materials we have, maybe 15, but we need to test it first." Their conversation was interrupted when another resistance member burst into the room. "You need to see this," he said urgently. He turned on a small television. The screen showed a news broadcast. A Vora ship hovered over a small coastal city. A beam of intense light shot down from the ship. Buildings turned to ash instantly. The ground itself seemed to melt. "They're destroying Soksho," Jiwan whispered. "The whole city." The broadcast cut to a Vora transmission. Grand Marshal Veloth's face filled the screen. "People of Earth," he said, his alien voice cold. "This demonstration is the consequence of resistance. For each Vora outpost attacked, a human city will be destroyed. Surrender the resistance leaders immediately, or more cities will follow. The room fell silent. Tai-Ho looked at the others. Their faces showed shock, grief, and anger. "What do we do now?" someone finally asked. Sun Wu's face hardened. "We hit them harder." 2 days later, Tai-Ho led a team through the dark streets of Busan. Each person carried one of Haibin's iron weapons. Tai-Ho also carried one of the new EMP devices. Their target was the main Vora power relay station. It controlled communications for all Vora forces in the Eastern Hemisphere. Without it, the aliens would be unable to coordinate their ships or call for reinforcements. "Remember," Tai-Ho whispered to his team, "the Vora have increased security. They're looking for us now. Stay in the shadows and move quietly." They approached the station from different directions. The building was surrounded by Vora guards. Spotlights swept the area. Tai-Ho checked his watch. Right on time, explosions erupted on the other side of the city. A diversion set by another resistance team. Most of the guards ran toward the explosions. Only 4 remained at the station. "Now," Tai-Ho said into his radio. His team moved quickly. The iron weapons made little noise, another advantage Haibin had built into them. The guards fell before they could raise an alarm. 7 minutes until their next check-in. Ji-won's voice came through the radio. Her team had arrived from the other side of the building. They entered the relay station. Inside, Vora technology hummed and pulsed with strange lights. Tai-Ho had studied the layout from stolen plans. He knew exactly where to go. "Plant the charges here, here, and here," he ordered, pointing to key junction points. His team worked quickly, attaching small explosive devices to the alien machinery. These weren't ordinary explosives. They contained iron fragments that would contaminate the Vora systems. 2 minutes left, Ji-won warned. Tai-Ho placed the EMP device in the center of the room. He set the timer for 30 seconds, just enough. Time for them to get clear. "Everyone out now," he ordered. They ran from the building into the night. They were 2 blocks away when the EMP went off. There was no sound, but all the lights in the area suddenly went out. Then came the explosions. Small, controlled blasts that would destroy the relay station from within. In orbit, Veloth was preparing to give the order to destroy another human city when his ship suddenly lost contact with ground forces. "What's happening?" he demanded. "Unknown, Grand Marshal," Tarek replied, his voice tight with tension. "We've lost all relay signals from the Eastern Hemisphere." "Impossible. Use the backup systems. They're also down. We're detecting explosions at multiple relay points." Veloth's mandibles clicked rapidly, a sign of extreme agitation. "Launch all fighters. Find out what's happening, and prepare the particle cannon. Another human city will burn for this." But the orders couldn't be transmitted. Without the relay station, his commands could not reach the Vora forces on Earth's surface. For the first time in his long career, Grand Marshal Veloth felt something new: uncertainty. Dawn broke over Seoul. Tai-Ho, Ji-won, and the others watched news reports from their hidden base. The Vora were in disarray. Without their communication network, their forces couldn't coordinate. Some ships hovered aimlessly. Others had landed and powered down, waiting for orders that wouldn't come. "It worked," Ji-won said quietly. "They can't talk to each other. For now," Tai-Ho cautioned. "They'll repair their systems eventually." "But not quickly," Haibin added. "I made sure the iron contamination would spread through their systems. It will take them weeks to clean it out." Sun Wu entered the room with a satellite phone. "I just spoke with resistance leaders across the world. The Western Hemisphere teams hit their targets too. The Vora have lost all their major relay stations." Tai-Ho looked at a map on the wall. It showed resistance cells across the globe. What had started as a small movement in Seoul had spread everywhere. Humans fighting back with simple but effective weapons against an enemy that had underestimated them. "What happens now?" someone asked. "Now," Tai-Ho said, "we take back our planet. The moment when the Vora thought themselves invincible had passed. The moment when humans were helpless against their advanced technology had passed. A new moment had begun." The moment when humanity would show the galaxy that primitive didn't mean weak. 1 month after the destruction of the relay stations, Earth was a different place. The Vora still occupied many areas, but their control was slipping. Their ships could communicate again, but not as well as before. Their forces were scattered and disorganized. Humans, on the other hand, grew stronger each day. In what had once been a school gymnasium, now converted into a resistance command center, Taiho studied a large map of Asia. Red pins marked Vora. Strongholds. Green pins showed areas under human control. There were more green pins than red now. "Captain Kim," a voice called. He turned to see President Young-Ho Kang entering the room. Before the invasion, Young-Ho had been South Korea's Minister of Defense. Now he led the unified Earth government formed after the Vora communications blackout. "Mr. President?" Taeho greeted him with a bow. "I didn't expect you here." "I wanted to see our progress firsthand," Young-Ho replied. He looked at the map with keen eyes. "And to discuss our next move." Ji-won and Sun-woo entered the room, followed by Haebin. They all greeted the president with respect. "The United Nations Security Council has reached a decision," Young-Ho announced. "It's time for the main offensive. We will attack the Vora central headquarters." Taeho looked surprised. "That's a heavily fortified position, sir. It would be difficult to—" "We have new intelligence," Young-Ho interrupted. "And new weapons." He nodded to Haebin. She stepped forward, her face showing a mix of pride and concern. "We've developed something new, something the Vora won't expect." From a case she carried, Haebin removed what looked like an ordinary radio. But Taeho knew it wasn't ordinary. Nothing Haebin made ever was. "This device broadcasts a specific frequency," she explained. "It disrupts the Vora neural patterns." "It makes them sick?" Ji-won asked. "No. It affects their ability to use their technology. Their systems are partially controlled by their thoughts. This frequency interrupts that connection." Sun-woo looked skeptical. "How do we know it works?" "We tested it on captured equipment and prisoners," Haebin said quietly. "It works, but its range is limited, about 1 kilometer. We need to get it inside their headquarters to affect the whole complex." Young-Ho nodded. "That's where you come in, Captain Kim. You and Commander Park will lead the strike team." 3 days later, Taeho and Ji-won crouched in the darkness outside the Vora headquarters. It was a massive complex built where Seoul's financial district had once stood. Tall, strange-looking towers rose into the night sky. Vora ships patrolled overhead. With them were 20 of their best fighters. Each carried iron weapons and small EMP devices. But the most important item was in Taeho's backpack, Haebin's neural disruptor. "Remember," Taeho whispered to his team, "we only need to reach the central communications hub. Once the disruptor is active, their defenses will fail. The main forces will handle the rest." Around the world, similar teams were preparing to attack other Vora strongholds. But this one, the headquarters, was the key. Here, the Vora directed their entire Earth operation. "It's time," Ji-won said, checking her watch. On cue, explosions lit up the sky on the far side of the city. The diversion had begun. Most of the patrol ships moved toward the disturbance. "Now," Taeho ordered. The team moved forward using the shadows for cover. They approached a side entrance guarded by 4 Vora soldiers. The iron weapons made quick work of the guards. Their bodies began to turn purple almost immediately, the now familiar sign of iron poisoning. Inside, the hallways were eerily quiet. The team moved swiftly, following a memorized map. They encountered few Vora. Most had been drawn away by the diversion. "This is too easy," Ji-won whispered. As if her words had triggered it, an alarm began to sound. Red lights flashed along the walls. A voice spoke in the Vora language. "They know we're here," Taeho said. "Move faster." They ran now, no longer trying to hide. Several Vora appeared at the end of a corridor. Both sides opened fire. 2 humans fell. The rest pressed on. Finally, they reached the central hub, a large room filled with alien technology. Screens showed maps of Earth. Strange devices pulsed with light. Secure the room, Taeho ordered. His team took positions at the entrances, while he and Ji-won approached the main console. Taeho removed the neural disruptor from his backpack and began to set it up according to Habin's instructions. Hurry, Ji-won urged. They're coming. The sounds of fighting grew louder outside the room. The team was holding off the Vora, but they couldn't do so forever. Taeho connected the final wire. It's ready. He activated the device. Nothing seemed to happen at first. Then, one by one, the screens around them began to flicker. The lights dimmed. The alien technology started to shut down. Outside, they heard confused shouts in the Vora language. The sound of fighting stopped. Ji-won looked at Taeho. Is it working? He nodded. Their neural connection to their technology is breaking down. They can't use their weapons or shields. Then it's time for Phase 2. She activated her radio. This is Commander Park. The disruptor is active. Begin the assault. In orbit, Grandi. Marshal Veloth watched in horror as his command ship systems began to fail. His neural connection to the ship's computer suddenly vanished, leaving him feeling blind. What's happening? He demanded. Some kind of interference, Tarek reported. It's affecting all Vora technology within the Earth's atmosphere. On the screens that still worked, Veloth could see human forces advancing on Vora positions worldwide. Without their shields and advanced weapons, his soldiers were vulnerable to even the simplest human attacks. Impossible, he whispered. Their technology is primitive. They couldn't do this. A transmission came through, weak and distorted. It was from the Confederation Council. Grand Marshal, the elder's voice crackled. We have monitored the situation. The occupation of Earth has failed. No. We can still crush them. We just need reinforcements. To what end? The resources we've already spent outweigh what we could gain. These humans have proven unexpectedly resourceful. Veloth's mandibles clicked in anger. They used primitive weapons against us, iron and electromagnetic pulses. Technology we abandoned millennia ago. Precisely, the elder replied. That was your failure. You dismissed their methods rather than understanding their potential. The Confederation is withdrawing from Earth. You can't. The decision is made. All Vora forces are ordered to retreat immediately. 1 week later, Taeho stood on the roof of the former Vora headquarters. Beside him, Ji-won watched the last alien ships rising into the atmosphere. They're really leaving, she said quietly. Taeho nodded. They never understood us. They thought advancement meant discarding old methods for new ones. While we knew that sometimes the oldest solutions are still effective, Haben joined them, carrying a tablet computer. We've captured their star charts, communication protocols, and basic technology schematics. Enough to begin building our own interstellar capabilities. How long? Taeho asked. 10 years, maybe less, she replied. And when we reach the stars, they won't underestimate us again. President Young-ho approached, followed by General Sun-woo and other world leaders. They all looked up as the Vora mothership, once so terrifying, shrank to a dot and then vanished into the sky. Today we celebrate, Young-ho said. Tomorrow, we rebuild. And after that, he looked up at the stars. After that, humanity takes its place among the stars. Taeho thought about the journey ahead. The Vora had come to Earth expecting to find primitive beings with primitive weapons. They had left having learned a powerful lesson. It was not the weapons that made humans dangerous, but the minds that wielded them. The aliens had mocked human weapons until the moment passed. And in that passing moment, everything had changed. Earth was free. And the galaxy would soon know that humans, primitive or not, were a force to be reckoned with.